Well, let's go into that actually,
So
because you mentioned that earlier
yeah,
that there was this expectation that being, I think you used the term being a good Indian American, that you would go and pursue a career like you had set off when you first studied at UT Austin. What are those sort of pressures like to live with, and where do they come from, and why are they so strong?
it's interesting. I think part of it comes from, and again, I have to speak from the Indian American experience. I cannot speak for any other cultural identities and ancestries, but certainly for being an Indian American in the South, in Louisiana, which is where I was born and raised, as part of a small kind of collective or a community of Indian Americans, most of whom were affiliated with the local universities at the time, Louisiana Tech and Grambling State. There was a sense of, doing the right thing or the good thing, which was, either you major in, you go be a doctor, lawyer, business person, or engineer, computer science or engineering. And those are kind of the fields that are known to lead to a sense of being successful, instill a sense of pride, I think, within the family. And that I think from a parental perspective, they made the arduous journey to come to the States, get settled in a very different kind of environment and a very different context,
Possibly not
with the
as
hopes.
accepting as as other areas in the US as well.
Sure. I mean, let's face it. Look, North Louisiana was certainly an area which I remember my father was telling me about incidents of racism, prejudice. He came to the U.S. in 1969, 70, I want to say. And yeah, he told me how he went to I think it was like a restaurant or diner. He had to sit in a different part or use a different bathroom, that kind of thing. As recent as 69, 70, it's astonishing. And so I think that's part of the thinking, the philosophy and mindset to, okay, we'll settle here. There's a good job, there's a tenured professor and so forth. Many of them were, but we want to make sure we're doing this so that our children can go off and become more successful and go someplace else and can get really established and settled and develop their families and so forth.
So
So I
incredibly high
think that's
expectations, right? Like you're living with the sort of
yeah,
weight of like, we've made this whole move from our home country to give you this life in America, and you shall make good on it.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. So I think there was quite a bit of externalized pressure and discipline to do that. I know that for pretty much all of us, again, the Indian American kids who are in that community in North Central Louisiana, we powered through, elementary school and junior high and high school, taking all the kind of top level classes, the A level classes and advanced placement and so forth, trying to get the scholarships and move on to other places, other colleges and so forth. I took a slightly different path, to go to UT, not quite finish engineering, now switch to fine arts because I want to pursue something called design. It was kind of high risk, kind of high intensity, high tension, but being able to transition to a good school, University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, that I think reignited the sense of pride in my parents. Okay, I'm going to a good place, pursuing a program that actually is or can be successful in terms of your own career.